Sometimes you get that movie that just isn't perfect, but is fun and exciting to just sit down and watch. That's totally killer. Now, yeah, many reviewers have made this comparison 1,000 times before, and I have to repeat it because it could not be more true. If Back to the Future and Scream got together and had a baby, this is what you would get. And that's why I love this movie, because I get a lot of that cool time travel sci-fi stuff, and I also get the suspenseful thriller aspect of Scream and this mass killer running around stabbing everybody, and when you combine the two, it's just a good time. It's hard to say what this movie really is because it's not horror, it's not comedy, it tries to do it all. It's just fun. So there's this girl, Jamie, whose mom survived a killing spree where all of her friends died. 35 years later, she's still paranoid that the murderer is going to come back after her or her daughter. And when he does come back, her daughter gets somehow transported back to 1987 when it all started, so she decides to try to stop it before it all begins. And this is where, to me, this gets really interesting because of the comedic undertone to all this. It doesn't take itself seriously. This is one of those very self-aware movies that's not comedy, it's not horror, it's in this weird gray area that's just fun. And coming from someone who grew up in the 80s, I can appreciate the way they portrayed the 80s. The way we dressed, the way we talked. The majority of us just didn't care. There was no censoring. Being offensive wasn't a thing. We just had conversations. We made fun of people, and that was normal. But this girl, Jamie, who's a teenager in high school, gets transported from 2023 to 87, and it's like a culture shock to her. The way people are speaking, she thinks offensive or racist or whatever else, and they're just like, this is just the way things are. Which I think is hilarious because that's kind of how people portray things today. But one of the best parts of this movie is the interaction and the dynamic between the teenager Jamie, who traveled back in time, and the younger version of her parents. Because although they may be sweet, weird, whatever, overprotective parents in 2023, they were the polar opposite in the high school years where they were complete jerks to everybody. And I think what's funny about that is I can only imagine any of us going back in time to see our parents in high school and what they were like. It would have to be the same thing. Now, Carnage is the main star of this, playing Jamie, and I think she does a fantastic job of this. She has great comedic tones when needed, and then she'll also get very serious and down to business when she needs to as well. I think her acting skills are really good. I think she portrays the character well. And I think the on-screen chemistry and dynamic between her and Olivia Holt, who plays the younger version of her mother, is really good and what makes this movie so much fun. Of course, since this is a mass killer type movie, you're trying to figure out who the killer really is. So while you're back in 1987, you're trying to pick out all these little clues that might point to who in 2023 managed to get away with it. Now, since we're talking timelines and time travel, I think it's important to mention that I think they did this right. And what I mean by that is when you go back in time, just like in Back to the Future, anything you do could alter the timeline and the way things turn out. And that's exactly what happens here. Because she went back in time to try to stop the murders, all the details are getting changed along the way. So what's happening in 1987 is changing everything that's happening in 2023. And of course, by the time the movie's over, we're back at 2023. She realizes all the things that she's changed and all the things that have altered her own life as a result of her going back there. Now again, this isn't a movie you need to take seriously. We don't need to nitpick all the fine little details. This is one you just sit back, you relax, you grab some popcorn, and you just enjoy it. You don't have to stress over acting skills or background details or anything like that. That's not what this movie's about. It's just fun and enjoyable. So if you've seen Totally Killer, let me know what your thoughts are down in the comments. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe button on your way out.